Right now, though, we have Father Bart joining us to talk about the movie Father Stu, which is now available on Blu-ray and streaming platforms. You can also get it in DVD. Thanks so much for being with us, Father.
Good to be with you.
Maybe before we get into Father Stu, I wanted to ask you about your own unique vocation story. Tell us a little bit, if you could, about your journey to ordination about 15 years ago.
Yes, so I was raised as a Protestant and converted in 1994. Actually, Stu and I converted on the exact same day. I was on the East Coast, he was on the West Coast. And from there, when I discerned to become a priest, I entered seminary for the Diocese of Dallas. But in the interim, a lot of family members moved up to Montana. And when that happened, I began to work with my spiritual director about possibly switching up to Montana. And so I was like, well, I want to meet a seminarian or two and some priests from Helena, Montana. And I got the name of Stuart Long. So we started an email correspondence. And he said, yeah, come on up. We'd love to have you. And the Lord just opened doors and things worked out. And I moved here in 2006. And Stu and I were ordained together December 14th, 2007.
Well, that's great. Now, although you were ordained together, you and Father Stu weren't fellow seminarians, but you became friends when I guess you were assigned to the Blackfoot Reservation in Montana. Can you speak about your relationship, your friendship with Father Stu?
Yeah, so when I became a seminarian, the bishop left me to finish in Houston, and Stu was in Oregon. And so the summer of 2006, he was assigned to the Indian Reservation, and he said, come out for a week or so and come and visit and see the place, and let's get to know each other. So I got permission to go up and spend about 4 days on the reservation with Stu, and we got to know each other and really kind of started our friendship during that time.
I've seen a few interviews you gave about your friend and his path to the priesthood, and especially delightful to learn that Stu came up with ways to limit his rough language, I understand, to be a good example. And now that the movie is out, could you tell people, important to share that with families as well, what advice would you give people who pick up the movie?
Well, be aware it's rated R for a reason. So if you're going to watch it, make sure you do it in a discreet manner. But the story of Stu certainly had rough language before he converted. His sister tells me every bad word she ever learned was from Stu. So in the midst of that conversion, Stu got real serious about cleaning up his language. And as a priest, he got real serious about encouraging others to clean up their language. And so he would assign penances of a cuss jar and make people put money in there and then donate it to the poor. So that's one solution he had. He was very serious about it. So I think in terms of the authenticity of how Stu was, the film depicts it well, and they wanted to make it authentic when they made the film. But be warned, and I've told people, it's not for everybody. But just because you hear bad language doesn't mean we have to start using it. Yeah. So, I can walk around here in the street and hear it all the time. So.
When Mark Wahlberg was here, he called it colorful. Colorful language.
Good word. Very colorful, yes.
You remained in contact, I know, with Father Stu's family. Please do give them, our prayers and consolation and gratitude for sharing their son's life with all of us, if you could. What kind of contact do you maintain with them to this day?
Well, Bill Long lives here in Helena, so we see each other pretty regularly. We were just took a road trip for a day just a couple days ago. And Stu's brother lives here. I see him and some of his childhood friends. We've gotten to become friends. And then his sister actually lives where I grew up in Dallas. And so we've gotten to know each other too. And when I go back, we get together and have a good friendship. So
great. Maybe if you could, Father, having known Father Stu, and as we talk about seeing the movie itself, talk about your personal feelings and maybe what would you like people to take from Father Stu's life?
I think there's hope for everybody, no matter where you are, no matter what you've gone through, what you're suffering now, what disappointments you've had, what tragedies you've had. God still loves us, and that presence is powerful. It was very powerful for Stu, and it radiated out into so many other people's lives. It was very profound, and that same God loves all of us. And so I would just say there is hope for whatever you're going through. That's the message of Stu.
And you, along with Bishop Vetter, have been great advocates for the film. Before we say goodbye to you, Bart, what's your sense of the community response? What's that been, especially for St. Mary's Catholic community?
Well, I think just in the Helena area in general, it's been very positive for the most part. I was talking to Bill, and he just said everyone he talks to seems to be very positive about the film. Some people said that maybe he was depicted by Mel Gibson a little too rough, but I think they were trying to draw a distinction between Stu and his dad, which was certainly existed. But most people were very touched by it. There were a few people that didn't like it because it wasn't close enough to the real life thing. They said the real Stu was a lot better. And I was like, well, maybe, but they did a good job of trying to condense this story and inspire people through Stu's life.
And poor Mark had to put on a few pounds, but he said it wasn't all that fun.
Yeah, he said it was less fun taking it off than it was putting it on.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Well, it was so much fun talking to you, Father, and learning more about Father Stu, and we encourage people to check out the Blu-ray and DVD and check out the story, a very inspirational story of Father Stu. Thanks so much for being with us, Father.
All right. Good to be with you. Thank you.